Hello everyone, my name is Frede and today I have part one of my January reading wrap-up. So the reason I'm doing two parts this month is that last month I read 9 books and I only did one video and it just ended up being so long and I had to cut out so much because I didn't want the video to be 20 minutes long. So I figured I would rather split it up in half if I end up getting close to 9 books again. And I have read 4 books already. So obviously I don't know how much I'm going to be able to read in the second half of the month, but I thought I'd rather be on the safe side and do 2 parts because it was really annoying to have to edit out so much. So as I said, I've read 4 books so far, and the first book that I finished this month, and basically my first book of 2017, was Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. Sorry for the glare, this dust jacket is a kind of plasticky thing. Yeah, so basically I've seen a lot of people on BookTube kind of go crazy about this book and say how great it is, and so I thought I'll just pick it up, and I actually gifted myself this book for Christmas, and it was a nice book, I agree with that, but for me there wasn't much more to it. It was nice and that was kind of it. So it was a quick read, so this is almost 600 pages I think, and I got through it very, very fast. I really enjoyed the way it was narrated, so if for some reason you haven't heard of this book, they don't really have a conventional narration, but you have all those documents from a certain incident that tell you the story, which I thought was extremely well done. So it was very, very interesting to read the story. I really enjoyed the way it was narrated. So this is a science fiction book which is set in a kind of war between, I don't even know, some company and some the space safety thing, I don't even know. And this is already the first, maybe I was just not paying attention while reading, but this was already the first thing where I thought, why? Because it's not, I don't think it's very much explained why they are at war and why they are running away from that company. I don't know, maybe I just really didn't pay attention, but that was a bit I was missing an explanation for that. And what also kind of annoyed me was that both of the characters, because the protagonists are 2 teenagers who basically just broke up with each other, and they're on 2 different ships. So you have a lot of their conversations via text messages and stuff in this. And what annoyed me a bit with this was that a kind of trope of I have a secret, but I don't tell you what it is, but I keep reminding you of the fact that I have a secret, which I don't like, and it was annoying me a bit. But what annoyed me most about this book was the ending. I really hated the ending, so I don't want to spoil it for anyone who still wants to read this, but I really, really, really disliked the ending. I thought it was extremely weak writing. I just thought it was bad, so I don't know. I think that's kind of also a problem that I have with YA, that everything has to be happy ending for everyone always, and I don't like that. So yeah, it was entertaining, it was a quick read, but I wouldn't say that this is the best book that I've read. So I gave this 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. It was okay, it was nice, but I don't really get why everyone's screaming about it like they do. The second book that I finished this month is Siri Hustvedt. Is that how you pronounce her name? Hustvedt? I don't know. The Summer Without Men. So this is a library book, which is why it's good that I'm doing a 2-part wrap-up, because I'm probably going to have to take this back to the library before I film my end of the month wrap-up. So this was a book about a woman who's in her 60s, if I'm not mistaken, and her husband, whom she's been married to for 30 or 40 years, I think 30 years. He says that he wants a pause in their relationship and their marriage, And obviously, after such a long time of being married, that's maybe not the best thing you could say. And so her husband is kind of having an affair with a much younger woman whom he knows from work. And it's summer, and the protagonist is a university professor, so she says, okay, I'm just going to take the rest of the term off, and I'm just going to go out in the countryside and spend time just with myself, basically. And so then she goes to this small town somewhere, I think a hometown or something, and basically spends her summer without men, like the title says. So there are a couple of men, like obviously this relationship problem, this marriage problem with her husband is something that occupies her mind basically through the entire book, but you don't have that much of interaction with her husband. And then there's another man who is kind of around, but only like very distant, and she interacts with a lot of different women. She does a poetry workshop for young teenagers, like 12 or 13-year-olds, and she also chats a lot with like older ladies who are friends with her mum, so they're all like in their 80s and 90s. And there's not that much plot in this book. It's more about like the internal struggles she has and about things she thinks about. She also very often addresses the reader directly, which I really enjoyed. So just basically a novel about a woman trying to find sense in what's even happening in her life right now. And I really enjoyed this. I also really liked how she was able to, like how Haswood was able to portray so many different women of such a huge age span, because you had those 12 and 13-year-olds, and then you had a woman who was in her, I think her 30s, late 20s, early 30s. Then you had the narrator who was in her 60s, and then you had these really old women in their 80s and 90s. Also, you had some like feminist rants in here, which reminded me of The Trouble with Women, which I read last month. And yeah, I just really enjoyed this. I think it was hard for me to give this a star rating, because sometimes I think it's hard to just judge books with stars. And this was one of the books that it was kind of hard to judge with stars, because it wasn't like the most amazing book that I've ever read, but I wouldn't say it was mediocre either. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars, but I felt it was very difficult to give this a star rating. Now, the next book is something which I can't like throw around in my hands, because it was an audiobook that I listened to, which I got from the library, and that was The Casual Vacancy by J.K. Rowling. I really, 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 really liked this book. So this was the 3rd book that I finished this year, and I'm really happy about it. It was brilliant. So basically, you can't go into this having Harry Potter in your mind. This doesn't work. And I think this is also the reason for the pretty bad Goodreads rating. I think the Goodreads rating is around 3.3 stars. Because I think a lot of people just go into this thinking about Harry Potter, which you just shouldn't do, because this is nothing like Harry Potter. So this story is set in a small town in England. It's kind of a town where everyone knows everyone, and a lot of like very conservative people, a lot of old people are there, but there are also younger people. Basically, the story starts with a man, like middle-aged man called Barry Fairbrother, who dies. He is going out to dinner with his wife and just drops dead. And basically the entire book that follows is what happens after that. He just did a lot for a lot of people in town. So the book after that follows a lot of people in that town. So it's a multi-perspective book, which is something that I really like. And you follow a lot of people, like very old people, then like younger people, teenagers, like very, very different kinds of people, and kind of the way that on the one hand this death affects their life, and then the way the consequences of the death affect their life. So yeah, it's very much this one death as kind of a trigger of a huge range of events and a lot of changes, because he was in this town council and now that's what the title also alludes to. He's gone, so his place is vacant. So there are 3 people who say, okay, I'm going to try to get elected to get this seat. So this is also a great conflict in this book. And you just have, yeah, kind of upper middle class, conservative, old people. And you have people who live in council housing. You have teenagers who kind of try to figure out what they're even doing in their lives. All kind of working against each other, but at the same time trying to work with each other at some point. I thought it was brilliant. I think she wrote so many amazing characters in this book. Like, a lot of the people in this book are extremely unlikable. I hated probably like about 50% of all the characters in this book, but I really like it when you can't stand a character, but if the character really gives you a reason. If they're just written very badly, that's obviously annoying. But if they're written so well and they have character traits that just really annoy you, I think that's just one of the greatest things about novels, actually. So you have a lot of very highly unlikable characters. Then you also have a lot of characters who, at least I, very much rooted for, and they get into conflict, obviously. Also, like, all the different kinds of problems people have in there. So this book does contain extremely violent language, if we can say it like that. So the characters curse the entire time. You have like depictions of like mental illness, self-harm, drug abuse, child abuse. So this is really not Harry Potter, but I thought it was brilliant. Also, the ending absolutely broke my heart. It was very painful, but I thought it was like really, really well done. It just wrapped up the story very well. I gave this 4.75 out of 5 stars, I think. And if you can deal with like more sensitive topics and things like that, I would highly recommend it. I really enjoyed reading this book, and I actually ordered the hard copy of it because I love it and I might go back to it and I want to put it on my shelf, which was not what I was intending when I thought, okay, I'll get the audiobook so I don't have to buy anything. Now, the last book that I read was a short story collection by Ali Smith. It is called The Public Library and Other Stories. I really enjoyed reading this. So I had not read anything by Ali Smith before, so her writing style and everything was new to me. And I have another novel by her on my TBR shelf, but I haven't got around to reading that yet. So I thought it would kind of be a good idea to start with a short story collection, because that's kind of a good way to introduce myself to her writing. And yeah, I think it was a good idea to do that. There were like some short stories that I like more than others, some that I didn't really care about, some that I really liked, but generally I really liked her style of writing. I can't really say much about it. I really enjoyed it. So there are, I think, 12 short stories in here. I'm not even sure, maybe more, maybe less. They all sort of deal with books and languages and writers. And then in between of those short stories, she always has little snippets of what other people, I think particularly writers, maybe only writers, I didn't know all of them, but basically what a lot of people say about public libraries and why they're important. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. I don't know, I think it's very hard to give a short story collection a star rating as well. I think I gave this 3.5 out of 5 stars, but I gave it a 4-star Goodreads rating because I really enjoyed it, and it definitely makes me want to get to the novel that I have sitting on my shelf very soon.
Yeah, do the thumbnail, if I can manage to hold these.
So these were the three hard copies plus 1 audiobook that I read so far this month. I'm hoping that I'll get to another 4 books maybe in the second half of the month. I'm not so sure because I have exams coming up in early February, so I need to start studying. But still, I really hope that I get to read some books. So if you've read any of the books that I talked about today, I would love to hear your thoughts on them. Leave them in the comments. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!